Hi, my dears. Welcome back. I'm so happy to meet you again. And we are reading the anecdote, The Best Investment I Ever Made by Dr. A.J. Cronin. And do you remember the first part of the anecdote? The first paragraph of the anecdote? Yes. Now, A.J. Cronin was traveling from America to England in a ship. And when he was in the ship, what did he felt? What did he feel there when he was walking along the promenade deck? What did he feel? Yes, he felt that a person, a man, is looking at him, closely looking, observing him. But A.J. Cronin ignored the man, ignored. Why? A.J. Cronin wanted to rest and he didn't like the casual talks in the shipboard, on the ship. That is why A.J. Cronin, he ignored the man. Okay, let us read the rest of the anecdote. Ready? Keep your textbook with you and don't forget to write down the meanings of new words. Ready? Let us start. Okay, so we are starting from second paragraph. Yet there was nothing importunate about him. On the contrary, he seemed affected by a troubled, rather touching diffidence. He was in his early 40s, rather short in build, with a fair complexion and clear blue eyes. His thin hair had begun to recede from his forehead. His dark suit, sober tie, and rimless spectacles gave evidence of a serious and reserved disposition. At this point, the bugle sounded for dinner, and I went below. Okay. Yet there was nothing importunate about him, about the man who is looking at A.J. Cronin. Nothing importunate, asahyaപ്പെടുത്തുന്ന. No, nothing importunate about him. On the contrary, contrary. Say the word contrary. Once more. നേരെ മറിച്ച്. On the contrary. നേരെ മറിച്ച്. He seemed affected by a troubled rather than touching diffidence. He seemed affected by corona. What do you mean by affected by corona? And you know that meaning. But here, affected by diffidence. Diffidence. What do you mean by diffidence? Diffidence is the opposite of confidence. Opposite of confidence. Then what it means? Diffidence. No confidence. Lack of confidence. Diffidence. What do you mean by diffidence? Diffidence means shyness or lack of confidence. Okay. So, he seemed affected by a troubled, ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ള പ്രയാസമേറിയ and rather touching diffidence. Touching. Heart touching. ഹൃദയത്തെ തൊടുന്ന, നമ്മളെ സ്പർശിക്കുന്ന എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മളിൽ അലിവുണ്ടാക്കുന്ന, ദയയുണ്ടാക്കുന്ന. Okay. Touching diffidence. So, the person who is looking at A.J. Cronin was a shy person. Okay. നാണം കുണുങ്ങിയാണ് shy. He was in his early 40s. Early 40s. 40കളിലാണ് early 40s. 40 to 45 is known as early 40s. 46 to 49 is known as late 40s. Okay, I am in my late 40s. My age, I am in my late 40s. Okay, can you get the idea? Yes. So he was in his early 40s, rather short in build, rather short in build. That means he is not tall. He is not tall. Can you understand? He is short. Not so short, but rather short. സാധാരണ നീളം കുറഞ്ഞ. That's all. Rather short in build, with a fair complexion. Fair complexion. Complexion means the color of our skin. Color of our skin. People have different color of skin. Some have fair skin, that is white skin or fair skin. Some have dark skin and some have black skin. In Kerala, most of us have dark skin, and in Africa they have black skin, but in Europe they have fair or white skin. Why people have different types of skin? Do you know? Yes, it is the geographical particularity. ഭൂമിയുടെ കിടപ്പിൻ്റെ സൂര്യപ്രകാശത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രത്യേകത കൊണ്ടാണ് ഇത്തരം വിവിധ നിറങ്ങൾ വരുന്നത്. ആഫ്രിക്ക ഈസ് ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് ഇൻ ദ ഭൂമധ്യരേഖയ്ക്കടുത്താണ്. ഭൂമധ്യരേഖയുടെ അടുത്ത് കിടക്കുന്നവരുടെ സൂര്യപ്രകാശം അവിടെ എങ്ങനെയാണ് അടിക്കുക? യെസ്, there is so much sunlight, so their skin become black. And what about the European countries? They are cold countries. They don't have enough sunlight. That's why they are white people. And what about Kerala? ഏതാണ്ട് ഭൂമധ്യരേഖയ്ക്കോട് അടുപ്പിച്ച്. So we are not black, we are not white. മാനിറം എന്നൊക്കെ പറയും, brown color or just dark. That's right. So there is nothing special about the color of the skin. No discrimination for the color of the skin. All the people are equal. There is different colors of the skin only because of the sun. That you should know. So every color of the skin is good, bright, no doubt. And here the person who is looking at H. Crown is fair complexion and clear blue eyes. What is the color of his eye? Blue. What is the color of our eyes? Yes, brown or black. But his eyes are blue. His thin hair had begun to recede from his forehead. His thin hair, thin hair, thick hair and thin hair. I have thin hair. ചിലരുടെ തലയിൽ നിറയെ മുടിയായിരിക്കും. That is known as thick hair. And what about this person, this man? His thin hair, ഒരുപാട് മുടിയൊന്നുമില്ല, thin hair, കട്ടി കുറവാണ്. Had begun to recede from his forehead. Recede from his forehead. Forehead, what do you mean forehead? Yes, this is the forehead, netti. Recede from his forehead. Recede, what is this word? Recede. Once more. Recede. Once more. Yes, what do you mean recede? Recede means move backward. Move backward. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കഷണ്ടി കയറി തുടങ്ങി. That's all. Okay. His thin hair had begun to recede from his forehead. His dark suit, sober tie, and rimless spectacles gave evidence of a serious and reserved disposition. His dark suit, color of his suit is dark, and sober tie. Tie, don't you know tie? Yes, sober tie. What is this word? Sober. What's the meaning of sober? Sober means plain and not bright in color. Plain, ചിത്രപ്പണികളൊന്നുമില്ലാത്ത പ്ലെയിനായ ഡാർക്കായ, നോട്ട് ബ്രൈറ്റ് മീൻസ് ഡാർക്ക്, ദാറ്റ്സ് ഓൾ. ഡാർക്ക് കളറിലുള്ള ടൈ, സോബർ ടൈ. His dark suit, sober tie and rimless spectacles. Spectacles? Yes, this is my spectacles. And look at my spectacle. ഇതിനൊരു ഫ്രെയിം ഉണ്ടോ? No. So this is a rimless spectacle. And that man also has a rimless spectacles. ഫ്രെയിം ഇല്ലാത്ത കണ്ണട. Gave evidence of a serious disposition. Evidence, proof, തെളിവ്. Evidence of a serious and reserved disposition. Serious, you know, ഗൗരവമുള്ള. And reserved. അങ്ങനെ അധികം ആരോടും സംസാരിക്കാത്ത, റിസർവ്ഡ്, ഒതുങ്ങിയ, അങ്ങനെ അധികം ആരോടും സംസാരിക്കാത്ത, റിസർവ്ഡ് ഡിസ്പൊസിഷൻ. Say the word. Yes, disposition means സ്വഭാവം, character. So this person is a reserved character, a serious character. How can we know that? Or how can Dr. A.J. Cronin know that? His suit was dark, his tie was dark, and his spectacle was rimless. But I'm not a serious person. And I'm not a reserved person also. The rimless spectacle is just for a convenience. But that man is a serious, reserved character. Okay? At this point, the bugle sounded for the dinner. And I went below. Dinner? Wouldn't be dinner? Yes, athalam, dinner. At this point, at this time, the bugle sounded for dinner. Bugle. Have you ever seen a bugle? I'll show you. Yes, this is the musical instrument. Bugle. This is. And have you heard the sound of a bugle? Listen. Yeah, that is the sound of a bugle. Okay, so in that shape, the sound of bugle it is the symbol of, in that shape, the sound of bugle announces the food time. That's all. Okay. And I went below to the canteen. Okay, third paragraph. On the following forenoon, I again observed my fellow voyager watching me earnestly from his deck chair. Now, a lady was with him, obviously his wife. The situation by this time had begun to intrigue me. I discovered from my steward that they were Mr. and Mrs. John S. from a small suburb of London. When another day passed without even, I began to feel certain that Mr. S. would remain too shy to carry out his obvious desire to approach me. However, on our final evening at sea, Mrs. S. decided the matter. With a firm pressure on his hand and a whispered word in his ear, she urged her husband towards me as I passed along the deck. Okay. On the following forenoon. Do you know forenoon? Before noon. Afternoon? Yes, afternoon. This is forenoon. Noon, what is the time noon? 12 o'clock. Day. In the day, 12 o'clock is the noon time, and before that, forenoon, after 12, afternoon. Okay. On the following afternoon, I again observed my fellow voyager. Observed, looked, watched. My fellow voyager, voyager. കടൽ യാത്രക്കാരനെ പറയുന്ന പേരാണ് voyager. 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 Say the word once more. Voyager. My fellow voyager. സഹയാത്രികൻ. Fellow voyager. Fellow voyager. സഹയാത്രികൻ. Watching me earnestly from his deck chair. Earnestly. What is this word? Earnestly. Seriously. Earnestly means in a serious manner. Seriously. Okay. From his deck chair. Now, a lady was with him, obviously his wife. Obviously. Say the word. Obviously. Once more, please. Obviously. Clearly. വ്യക്തമായും. Clearly. Obviously. Obviously his wife. The situation by this time had begun to intrigue me. Intrigue. Say the word. Intrigue. Once more. Intrigue. What do you mean by intrigue? Intrigue means arouse curiosity or interest. Curiosity, ആകാംക്ഷ, ഒരു ജിജ്ഞാസ, or interest, ഒരു താല്പര്യമുണ്ടാകുക, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ജിജ്ഞാസ ഉണ്ടാകുക, അറിയാനുള്ള ആകാംക്ഷ ഉണ്ടാവുക. That is intrigue. So, I became interested in that man. Why? The man is looking at me. Every time I passed, he was looking at me. But he is not talking to me. So I became interested in that person. നമ്മൾ ഒരാൾ ഇങ്ങനെ നോക്കുക, പക്ഷെ നമ്മളോട് സംസാരിക്കുന്നില്ല. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും ഒരു ആകാംക്ഷ തോന്നും, ഒരു ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ്, ഒരു താല്പര്യം തോന്നും. അതെന്താണെന്നറിയാൻ. That is. I discovered from my steward that they were Mr. and Mrs. John S. from a small suburb of London. I discovered, കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചു. Discovered from my steward. Steward, കാര്യസ്ഥൻ. Steward, കാര്യസ്ഥൻ, കാര്യങ്ങൾ നോക്കുന്ന ആള്, കാര്യസ്ഥൻ. That they were Mr. and Mrs. John S. from a small suburb of London. So Mr. and Mrs. John S. ജോൺ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ആളും അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ ഭാര്യയും. John S. from a small suburb of London. Suburb. Say the word. Once more, please. Suburb. What do you mean by suburb? Suburb means the, what can we say? പ്രാന്തപ്രദേശങ്ങൾ, അതായത് ഒരു സിറ്റിയുടെ സമീപത്തുള്ള പ്രദേശങ്ങളെയാണ് സബർബ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. നഗരപ്രാന്തപ്രദേശങ്ങൾ എന്നാണ് എൻ്റെ മലയാളം. നഗരത്തിൻ്റെ സമീപമുള്ള, എന്നാൽ നഗരമല്ല, നഗരത്തോട് ചേർന്ന് കിടക്കുന്ന പ്രദേശങ്ങൾ. They are known as suburb. Here, the suburb of London. When another day passed without event, I began to feel certain that Mr. S would remain too shy to carry out his obvious desire to approach me. Another day passed without event. Nothing happened in the next day too. അടുത്ത ദിവസവും വന്ന് സംസാരിച്ചോ? No. But looking at the doctor, that's all. So, I began to feel certain, sure, that Mr. S would remain too shy to carry out his obvious desire. To carry out. പ്രാവർത്തികമാക്കുക. Carry out. Say the word. Carry out. What do you mean by carry out? പ്രാവർത്തികമാക്കുക. His obvious desire. Obvious. What do you mean by obvious? Clear. Obviously. Didn't you remember? Yes. Obviously. What will be obviously? Clear. Clear desire. Desire, wish. Desire means wish. Agraham. To approach me. Approach. Say the word. Approach. Once more. Approach. Come near. Approach means come near. To come near me. So, Mr. John wished to come near Dr. A.J. Cronin. Mr. John want to come near Dr. A.J. Cronin. But he is too shy. Very shy. So, he is not able to come near and talk to Dr. A.J. Cronin. That is the problem. However, on our final evening at sea, Mrs. S decided the matter. However, say the word, however. The Malayalam meaning is എന്നിരുന്നാലും. However, on our final evening at sea, Mrs. S decided the matter. Decided. തീരുമാനിച്ചു. മലയാളത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ പറയാറില്ലേ, അതിനൊരു തീരുമാനമാക്കി. അത് തന്നെ. That is the meaning. Mrs. S decided the matter with a firm pressure on his hand. A firm pressure. Firm, ഉറച്ച. Pressure, അമർത്തുക. കയ്യിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ അമർത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് a firm pressure on his hand and a whispered word in his ear. Whispered. Whispered. പതുക്കെ പറയുക. ചെവിയിൽ പതുക്കെ. That is whispered. A whispered word in his ear. She urged her husband towards me. Urged her. പതിയെ പറഞ്ഞു വിട്ടു എൻ്റെ അടുത്തേക്ക്. Towards me as I passed along the deck. Okay. Next paragraph. Excuse me, doctor. I wonder if I might introduce myself. He spoke almost breathlessly, offering me the visiting card he held in his hand and studying my face to see if the name meant anything to me. Then, as it plainly did not, he went on with the same awkwardness. If you could spare a few minutes, my wife and I like to have a word with you. That is, excuse me, doctor. I wonder if I might introduce myself. Introduce. പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തുക. Introduce myself. ഞാൻ എന്നെ പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തട്ടെ. Excuse me, doctor. He spoke almost breathlessly. So, what is this word? Breathlessly. Breathlessly. ശ്വാസം വിടാതെ. Breathlessly. Okay. ഒറ്റ ശ്വാസത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞു. ശ്വാസം വിടാതെ. He spoke almost breathlessly, offering me the visiting card he held in his hand. Visiting card. Visiting card അറിയാലോ. പേരും അഡ്രസ്സും ബാങ്ക് ഡീറ്റെയിൽസും ഒക്കെ എഴുതിയ, ജോലിയും ഒക്കെ എഴുതിയ കാർഡ്. വിസിറ്റിംഗ് കാർഡ്, ഫോൺ നമ്പർ, എക്സെട്ര. ഓഫറിംഗ് മീ. ഓഫറിംഗ് നൽകുക. ഓഫറിംഗ് മീ ദ വിസിറ്റിംഗ് കാർഡ് ഹി ഹെൽഡ് ഇൻ ഹിസ് ഹാൻഡ് ആൻഡ് സ്റ്റഡിയിങ് മൈ ഫേസ് ടു സീ. സ്റ്റഡിയിങ്. ആൻഡ് യു നോ ദ വേർഡ് സ്റ്റഡിയിങ്. പഠിക്കുക. ഇവിടെ പാഠമല്ല പഠിക്കുന്നത്. ഹിസ് ഫേസ്. ഹൂസ് ഫേസ്? ഫേസ് ഓഫ് A.J. Cronin. Studying my face to see if the name meant anything to me. Meant. അർത്ഥമാക്കുക. ആ പേര് എന്നിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും അർത്ഥമുണ്ടാക്കുന്നു. What it mean? ആ പേര് എന്നിലൊരു പരിചയം എന്തെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നു പേര് കാണുമ്പോൾ. That is, meant anything to me. Then, as it plainly did not. Plainly. Clearly. Here, plainly means clearly. Clearly did not. പേര് കണ്ടപ്പോൾ ഡോക്ടർ A.J. Cronin എന്തെങ്കിലും തോന്നിയോ? Nothing. ഒരു ഭാവമാറ്റവും ഇല്ല. Plainly did not. He went on with the same awkwardness. He went on. Went on. It's a phrasal verb. Went on. Continued. Write down the meaning. Went on. What do you mean went on? Continued. And do you know the present tense of that word? Go on. G-O, go. O-N, on, go on. What do you mean go on? Continue. He went on with the same awkwardness. Awkwardness. Say the word. Awkwardness. Awkwardness. Once more please. Awkwardness. അസ്വസ്ഥത. What do you mean awkwardness? അസ്വസ്ഥത. സംസാരിക്കുന്നതിൻ്റെ ഒരു അസ്വസ്ഥത. That is. He went on with the same awkwardness. If you could spare a few minutes, my wife and I would like to have a word with you. That is, the awkwardness is clear in the speaking, in his voice. If you could spare a few minutes, spare, മാറ്റിവെക്കുക, spare, മാറ്റിവെക്കുക. Okay. If you could spare a few minutes, കുറച്ച് സമയം മാറ്റിവെക്കാമോ? My wife and I would like to have a word with you. A word with you. My wife and I like to speak with you. That's all. Like to talk with you. That's all. Okay. Next paragraph. A moment later, I was occupying the vacant chair beside them. Haltingly, he told me that this had been their first visit to America. It was not entirely a holiday trip. They had been making a tour of the New England states, inspecting many of the summer recreational camps for young people there. Afterwards, they had visited settlement houses in New York and other cities to study the methods employed in dealing with the cases of backward, maladjusted and delinquent youth. Okay. A moment later, I was occupying the vacant chair beside them. So, the three of them are sitting together in the ship. Mr. John and Mrs. John and Dr. H. Cronin. Okay. A moment later, കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ, a moment later, ഒരു നിമിഷം കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ, a moment later, I was occupying the vacant chair, vacant, what will be vacant? ഒഴിഞ്ഞ, chair beside them, beside, by the side, near, what will be beside? Near, beside them. Haltingly, he told me, haltingly, നിർത്തി നിർത്തി, വിക്കി വിക്കി, ഇങ്ങനെ അസ്വസ്ഥതയോടെ പതിയെ പതിയെ വിക്കി വിക്കി, നിർത്തി നിർത്തി. Haltingly, say the word, haltingly. Haltingly, he told me that this had been their first visit to America. So this visit was their first visit to America. It was not entirely a holiday trip. Entirely. I hope you know the meaning of the word entirely. We have seen this word in other lessons. Entirely. What do you mean by entirely? Completely. Completely. Okay. It was not completely a holiday trip. Not a holiday trip. They had been making a tour of the New England states. New England states. New England state means the 6 states in America. They are known as New England states. ഇംഗ്ലണ്ടിലേക്ക് ശരിക്കും യൂറോപ്യൻ ആൾക്കാർ വന്നത് ഇംഗ്ലണ്ടിൽ നിന്നാണ്, അമേരിക്കയിലേക്ക് ഇംഗ്ലണ്ടിൽ നിന്നാണ് ഈ യൂറോപ്യൻസ് എത്തിയത്. അമേരിക്കയിലെ വൈറ്റ് പീപ്പിൾ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ദേ ആർ ദ യൂറോപ്യൻസ് ഫ്രം ഇംഗ്ലണ്ട്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ്. സോ they had been making a tour of the New England states. New England state, ആ 6 സ്റ്റേറ്റിലും അവരിങ്ങനെ യാത്ര ചെയ്യുകയായിരുന്നു. Inspecting many of the summer recreational camps. Inspecting, നിരീക്ഷിച്ചുകൊണ്ട്, observing, inspecting many of the summer recreational camps. Summer, വേനൽക്കാലം, recreational, വിനോദം നൽകുന്ന വേനൽക്കാല വിനോദ ക്യാമ്പുകൾ, അവധിക്കാല ക്യാമ്പുകൾ. റിക്രിയേഷണൽ, സേ ദ വേർഡ് റിക്രിയേഷണൽ. വൺസ് മോർ പ്ലീസ്. റിക്രിയേഷണൽ, സന്തോഷം നൽകുന്ന വിനോദം ഉള്ള റിക്രിയേഷണൽ ക്യാമ്പ്സ് ഫോർ ദ യങ് പീപ്പിൾ ദയർ. വേനലവധി ആവുമ്പോൾ എല്ലായിടത്തും സമ്മർ ക്യാമ്പുകൾ തുടങ്ങും. സോ സച്ച് ക്യാമ്പ്സ്, they are observing such camps in New England states in America. Afterwards, they had visited settlement houses in New York. They had visited settlement houses in New York. ന്യൂയോർക്കിലെ സെറ്റിൽമെൻറ്റ് ഹൗസസ്, ആളുകൾക്ക് താമസിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ഗവൺമെൻറ് വെച്ച് കൊടുക്കുന്ന വീടുകൾ. They are settlement houses in New York and other cities to study the methods employed in dealing with the cases of backward, maladjusted and delinquent youth. ഇവിടെ കുറ്റവാളികളായ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സമൂഹത്തിന് യോജിക്കാത്ത പെരുമാറ്റമുള്ള കൗമാരക്കാരായ കുട്ടികളെ താമസിപ്പിക്കുന്ന സ്ഥലമാണ് സെറ്റിൽമെൻറ്റ് ഹൗസസ്. അവരവിടെ പോയത് why they are visiting the settlement houses? To study the methods employed in dealing with the cases of backward, maladjusted and delinquent youth. Study the methods, ways, രീതികൾ. Employed in dealing with, employed here used, employed here means used, ഉപയോഗിച്ച, used. In dealing with the cases, dealing, handling, കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്യുക. With the case of backward, പുറകോട്ട് നിൽക്കുന്ന, ബാക്ക്വേർഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള, maladjusted, അഡ്ജസ്റ്റ്മെൻറ്റ് ഇല്ലാത്ത, അതായത് ശരിയായി മറ്റുള്ളവരുമായി ഇണങ്ങിപ്പോകാൻ കഴിയാത്ത, maladjusted. നമ്മളൊക്കെ ഈ ലോകത്ത് ജീവിക്കുമ്പോൾ മറ്റുള്ളവരുമായി യോജിച്ച് ജീവിക്കാൻ പറ്റും, ഇണങ്ങിയേ ജീവിക്കാൻ പറ്റും, അല്ലേ? മറ്റുള്ളവരുമായി നമ്മൾ അഡ്ജസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. നമ്മുടെ ഇഷ്ടങ്ങൾ മാത്രം നടത്തി നമുക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് മാത്രം ചെയ്ത് നമുക്ക് സമൂഹത്തിൽ ജീവിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. മറ്റുള്ളവരുമായി അഡ്ജസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്ത് സമൂഹത്തിൻ്റെ നിയമങ്ങളെ അനുസരിച്ച് മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് മുന്നോട്ട് പോകാൻ പറ്റൂ. ബട്ട് there are some people who are maladjusted. അങ്ങനെ സമൂഹവുമായി ഇണങ്ങിപ്പോകാൻ കഴിയാത്ത കുറച്ച് പേർ, അവരാണ് maladjusted and delinquent youth. Delinquent, say the word delinquent. Once more please. Delinquent. Once more. Yes, delinquent youth. Delinquent means കുറ്റവാളികളായ യൂത്ത്, യുവാക്കളും കൗമാരക്കാരും. ആ കുട്ടികളെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ആൾക്കാരെ എങ്ങനെയാണ് കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്യുന്നത്, എങ്ങനെയാണ് അവരെ ആ രാജ്യം നോക്കിക്കാണുന്നത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവരുടെ കാര്യത്തിൽ എന്ത് മെത്തേഡാണ്, എന്ത് രീതിയാണ് അവലംബിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത് എന്നറിയാൻ. സോ മിസ്റ്റർ ആൻഡ് മിസ്സിസ് ജോൺ they were traveling through America to study the methods employed in dealing with the cases of backward, maladjusted and delinquent youth. Okay, so they are talking with Mr. and Mrs. John are talking with Dr. A.J. Cronin. Okay, let us read the rest of the story in the next class. And I will give the Malayalam version of this anecdote in the description box of this video. Read that Malayalam version. അതെല്ലാവരും വായിക്കണം. വായിച്ചിട്ട് വേണം you come to the next class. Okay, so let us read the story, rest of the story in the next class. You will read these paragraphs so many times. There are so many difficult words, new words. So read the paragraphs again and again and come to class. There you can read those paragraphs in the class. Okay, so see you in the next class. Till then, bye bye.